said something.
She said,
Nope. We're moving.
The tears are off.
And we're moving on.
Yeah. All right. So I did want to cover another topic outside of this, and I'm gonna have Nick pull up the video in just a second. But did you guys hear about the black kid or the brown kids? Because it was a bunch of Hispanics and blacks that got a gun pulled on them in Florida for MLK Day.
Florida, man.
Yeah, of course.
you know
Florida.
how to go.
Yeah, I already know how that go. He's gonna cue up the audio in a second, but yeah. So these were a group of kids, and it was other people too that were staging a protest based on the housing situation out there, and the lack of affordable housing. So they staged a protest, which always kills me with this, because people always want to romanticize Martin Luther King, but they don't want to be honest about who Martin Luther King was and how the world felt about him when he was alive. So, when they're like, what would Martin Luther King do? Like, he was shutting down bridges and stuff back then. So this is what they do. This woman was, from what I understand with the story, she wanted to get her daughter to where she wanted to get her daughter. So when she got out, they were blocking. Yeah. So she gets out to chastise them. One of them ran over her foot with their bike tire. And so that's where this ensued. So you're going to hear the audio from this. Go ahead. Let's see. We can't hear it. Where you want me to turn that back?
No, hit your audio over there.
It's, wait. It says it's playing. I can't hear it.
I see it playing. I don't hear nothing.
Like my speakers are up on here. Yeah, we good.
Hit the audio?
You want me to pull up the video again?
Yeah, on your side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah, you playing audio
There
on
we
your
go.
side.
My bad.
I'm just showing you on the video.
Let me bring it back.
She's so violent. You just ran over my foot. You're tired. No, you're not. You're You ran over my foot.
Don't touch me, bro.
You just touched me, you bunch of thugs. Fuck you, bitch.
Fucking white ass.
So you see the dude running in.
That guy in the red. Yeah, right behind this guy. You ran over my foot.
Piece of shit. You fucking losers.
You ran over my foot.
What did you buy?
Stupid
You guys keep moving.
fucking dumbass fucking niggas.
Thug ass fucking nigga.
This guy right here.
I'll be on the news. Y'all gonna make the news.
Wait, is
That's
that a triple
fine.
All
negative?
right.
I love
Thug
that.
ass.
Yeah.
That's quadruple. Thug ass fucking niggas.
So you get all of that part, which is okay, fine and dandy. However, what makes it worse is the quote. So he goes, the reason why we use that word, the reason why Chinese people use the word, why Japanese people use the word, European people, the reason why everyone uses the word is because black people use the word, he said. We all knew the word for Puerto Ricans as spick. We all knew Asian people as gooks or whatever. Jews, we knew all about the Jews. Nobody uses the word anymore. Why? Because Puerto Ricans don't say it to each other. Because Asian people don't say it to each other. Because the Jewish people don't say that to each other. The only ones that continue to say it to black people, or the ones that continue to say it, are black people. So that's the first thing that came into my head.
Okay, wait. So is he trying to say that Puerto Ricans, they'll be like, what's up, my spig? Is that what I don't understand.
That's the logic
They
that
don't
he's
do
trying
that
to use.
yeah.
And I do want to say he did get arrested, but here's the fun part about Florida and the fact that
Stand your ground.
and so he did not get a felony. He did get a misdemeanor because he had a concealed weapon, but he did not carry a permit. He did not get any sort of charges against him for assaults coming at these kids with a weapon. So it's just a misdemeanor for literally carrying a concealed weapon without a permit. So this happened all on MLK Day. So how do y'all feel about what you just heard there?
Florida, man.
Well, I didn't get the audio, but based on the quote alone, you know.
Wait, which conversation are we having here? We having
How you feeling about
About his quote or about the video?
both? Whichever one you want to comment on.
Let's start with the video then.
Okay.
So Yeah.
He was a he called himself being a Captain Save person.
For rolling over her toe
with a bike.
With a tire.
It
Exactly.
wasn't
All that
about
commotion
when
and
it wasn't about
when she
the
got
tire.
out of her car
Right.
and approached them.
Yes.
It wasn't about the tire. It was about here's a group of black people and a white woman yelling and screaming.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna run, be the hero, and here's my gun. You fucking niggers, I have a gun.
Right.
If they would have said I got a gun too, it would have been a problem.
Absolutely. And we keep running into this. Like, seriously,
Right.
they gonna run into the wrong person that got one. Like, we ain't all. We may have our ancestors' DNA in us, but we ain't our ancestors. Not some of us.
I'm not my grandmama. I will whip your ass.
Right.
No, my grandma. I'm not her. I'm the common one.
In terms of just the protest, I will say it wasn't until maybe a couple years ago. I did disagree with the type of protest where, they got onto the freeway, whatever. I was just like, that doesn't make any sense. And then I just had a conversation with myself and I thought about it. I go, you know what? It's what they're trying to show is that, black people, our lives are disrupted on a daily basis for nothing. So it isn't that, they're trying to stop you from living life. It's just they want to put everyone in the position of that black people are in on a daily basis of, here you are, strolling down the street in your car, whatever, doing, and you're being harassed, you're being killed for just being you. So they're trying to put those people in their shoes. So then I was just like, okay, that makes sense. Your life is being disrupted. It's nothing personal, but they want people to really feel what black people feel on a daily basis. And of course, that woman didn't care. She was just like, you're out here doing whatever, talking about whatever. I don't really give a fuck. I need to do what I need to do. And it's just like, no, that's exactly why we're doing this. Like, we want you to take a minute to even understand. If she would have got out of her car instead of, been like, I'd actually had a conversation, maybe things could have went a different way, because it is to bring attention to get people to understand what it is to be black in America.
Agreed.
In terms of the guy's quote, there's a lot of black people who feel the same way, who do not like the word, the usage of the word black people. I think me and Johnny talked about this one time. I feel strongly about that. Us not using the word is not going to stop anybody else from using it.
Yeah.
Or anyone else feeling that we are less than, when they use it. So I feel as black people, we took ownership of the word, and we're going to continue to use it, and we should be allowed to use it however the fuck we want to, because that is our history and that is our struggle. And, there's some people don't, and that's fine. So if black people don't want to use the word, I'm cool with that. But I'm not on a crusade to stop anyone else from using it. I use it. Johnny uses it. I just, his statement is ignorant.
That was all that was for traffic.
Yeah.
It was for traffic.
I'm one of those, like, and I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I remember being that person, like, oh, why are they filling up the freeways? Or all lives matter, like, and not having that understanding of why, and then getting that. But it took, like, I wasn't so shut down from it either to understand. Like, that's what gets on my nerves. Like, don't fight so much to understand the other perspective, whether you like it or not. Like, take your time and listen. And when I had someone kind of explain, like, this is what, we've been taught. And I'm like, oh, yeah, because I've said that black on black crime, too, because I didn't know any better. I've been told my whole life I had good hair. Like, it was the weirdest thing. Like, all my family has it, no matter if we're light or dark.
We do.
So it was just that conditioning that I had to adjust. And then once I learned better, I did better. But I wanted to learn better to do better. So that was just one of those things where it's like, okay, well, if you say that, did you take the time to get the education? And the more I learn about it, the more I'm like, y'all realize, I really hate, well, what would Martin Luther King say? We would know if your people didn't kill him.
Right. Right.
He was killed by the CIA.
Exactly.
Like, the government that you love so much.
Just the input for a second. The use of that word, I won't say it right now, but the use of that word, like all words.
Just say it. You say it any other time.
The use of the word nigga.
She said nigga.
Well, any word. It's not just that word. Any word. Words are tools.
Yeah.
Words are used just like tools. You can replace any word with another word. There's synonyms for anything. So the word nigga is just like a hammer. You can use a hammer to hang up a painting. You can use it to nail anything, or you can use it to kill somebody. So it's all a tool relative to your intent. So, like, I have I'm not going to say how close they are to. I have friends that are not minorities that use the word nigga, but I know their intent, so I don't have an issue with it. There's like this guy in this instant, he's using it with malintent. So he is using it to use in a racist form. So
because at the end of the day, the ER makes a difference.
Definitely.
I don't think it's even that. It's still
No,
the
because
intent.
there's black people who have or just do not want anyone who is not black using the word in any type of.
And I understand that. I understand.
I don't care if it's ER, if it's A.
What's that?
Because all right, my thing is like we said,
in the song.
like Johnny said, like just like everyday use, right?
We changed the definition of the word. We claimed the word.
Reclaimed the word. Only say it when they're fighting or something like that. Like come on,
like
nigga.
in this instant,
like you know what I mean, like a white boy saying, "Come on, nigga," like using it as like to downgrade the person that he's in front of. You know what I'm saying? Like and that's where I don't like it. It's like, are you using this in a way to demean the person that's in front of you?
And that's what's going to get you a trip to the hospital.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
and I'm with that too. Like, I hate that idea because I'm like, you don't realize that you're being racist, or you just trying to pretend like you not being racist. Like, come on, man, you only using it in that instance. I'm of the breed. I respect everybody else's opinion and use of it. That's fine. Just don't call me one. But I've been like that even with the bitch word. Like I never like my friends calling me that. It's never connected with me. I just don't like it. But I respect every other black person saying it. And I've even had like white friends, and I was like, at this point in my life, don't do it.
But it's a white because it's and then you go
not anybody outside of black.
Define
for me.
Black.
Exactly. Thank you.
What do you mean?
Puerto Ricans are black.
No, if you Puerto Rican, but you want to deny your Afro-American roots, then don't pick it. Don't pick it up. But
that's ignorance.
Dominicans are black. Jamaicans are black.
I understand that, but if you're gonna deny,
Brazilians,
you're absolutely right. We talked about this. The only difference is a boat stop. But if you're going to deny that, then don't be trying to pick up when it's appropriate, when it's cool for you.
I agree
like
with that
that's how I feel. Like, if you won't deny being black, then be all the way not black.
But then what about those people who are not black but are born and raised, grew up in urban areas? There's people who use that word who may feel they have more of a say to use that word than I do, who grew up in the valley.
Yeah. Here's how I feel like.
What is the difference?
I'm geared to give my analogy for how I like wrap my mind around it. So I hate when people are like, well, they're in the songs and black people use it and I can't say it in the song. My kid was 5 and he knew how to not say fuck and shit in the cuss word parts of the song. Like he knew better. Like, why you can't just get past it?
My kid is 6 and she slips hers in.
Oh, yeah. He tried that a few times, but once he got like 6, then he understood, like, don't do it.
But
like,
so
it ain't funny no more.
If we grew up in the suburbs, do we get white privilege?
I feel like if you want to erase your blackness, then just erase it all the way.
There's one individual in the suburbs of Calabasas that's trying to use white privilege right now.
Shut up.
You know exactly who I'm talking about.
Who?
The one.
Who, yay?
I'm not acknowledging anybody by that name.
Fair.
But the one person in Calabasas that is trying to use white privilege right now.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. So does it go both ways? Because they grew up in ethnic.
No, but if you
clearly it doesn't.
That?
No, see,
it never will.
But if they're not using it, but you and Johnny just talked. But if someone's not using it with malicious intent, this is what he was saying. Like, why do we get so bent out of shape over? Like, why does it make us feel so upset if someone who is not black uses it if it's not out of malicious intent? Like, why are we so worked up about it?
Don't call me that ever. I just don't like
it.
No,
not calling you that. Not calling you that. That's different.
I walked over to my neighbors who are Mexicans across the street and was like, you living across the street from black people. You don't hear me calling nobody a beaner, a wetback, a paisa, nothing. Like, that's not a cool term for me to use to my friends. So don't be using that. Because your black girlfriend says it's okay, your black girlfriend gives you a pass around your black girlfriend.
They do know.
But when you outside of that little group that gives you a pass, respect it. Like, why? What? Just respect somebody's.
I think it's up to the discretion of each individual.
My question is why do you feel so strongly about it if it's not used for malicious intent? Like, why?
It's malicious to me in general. Because I grew up with the idea.
So then you would be offended by anybody using it. Then.
Absolutely, I said that already. I already said that.
I mean?
But I've always had the definition of there was black people, like Chris Rock, there's black people and there's N-words. Like there's a difference, and I've never been like some ignorant person. Like that's how I see it. So that's just my connection with the word. So I mean,
she has
even back
extensive vocabulary.
Even back in the day, like they started calling each other men and brother and stuff because they didn't want to be called that. And this idea that we took it and we turned it into something for ourselves, they still call us that. So how is that working out for us?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter if you stop saying it. Then
they gonna call you that, whatever. Like
regardless.
So I respect other people's use of using it. Just don't call me that, and don't call my kid that.
What Tiffany was saying about like why not just give passes, right? So there was a friend. I'm not gonna.
I say give passes. I said why do you feel strongly about it?
It's the intent.
Wait,
but he's talking about intention.
But it was the group. Like they let him say it, and I used to be like, yo, don't like. You gotta check him on that. Like, stop. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then one day he said it around a grown person, and that person slapped the shit out of him. Wow. And nobody in the room saved him. We was like, hey.
But they allowed him to do it, so they set him up for the slapping.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's
like,
why you can't let stuff like that pass because
they sure did.
You gonna lose the friendship every time because you gonna be like, well, I mean, shit.
And then it's always weird to me, like why are you so like fighting for this right to use the word? Like you ain't fighting to call anybody else anything.
But
like,
I don't
why?
think that they are though. I don't think that they
you
are.
Always hear like why we can't use
like
it?
They're embracing the whole culture.
Yeah.
They're not fighting for it. They just feel that it is
embracing or stealing.
Yeah.
If it's something that they cannot have, they want it even more.
That's a serious question.
If somebody says you can't say it, then it becomes more desirable.
Yeah. Kind of like kids when you're like, don't hang out with them or don't date them.
Or wanting to be in the VIP.
At the end of the day, it is
really
up to your own discretion, and you will have to reap the consequences of using it.
That is an absolute 110%
I think every black person is up to their discretion how they feel about it.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter how we feel that day because I'm with you on intent.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I really feel it's about intent. If I know you're saying it because you're trying to be cool or whatever, I'm like.
I know white people that ride harder than black people on civil rights issues. I'm dead serious.
And how many of them you hear say? I mean, like, say the N word like
one
that.
person in particular, she's a female. She would never say that word in her life.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
but that's just her.
Right.
Like,
but
it's
she
so
also,
many people that are still in the good fight
can't
too.
you ride hard for the cause and still be respectful and not?
No, I'm saying she doesn't use it.
Okay.
But I'm saying there's other white people that I do know that do still ride harder than black people.
And they use the word.
It's just a word to them. It's just not like that. They don't use it like that.
I think I'm not gonna police it. Like I know, just. It doesn't matter. Whatever word someone uses, it can be something even worse to call me if I know your intention.
Yeah, to me, I think we got bigger fish to fry.
That's how I feel.
I was on the train and some dude came out the train and he was just like, fuck nigger. And I was just like, you know what? I'm in on the train because I know where my life is and I can see where yours is. And I was like, nah, I'm good.
Exactly.
No,
and
I'm not going to be like,
I went to jail for.
No, I'm going to get
and
right on that
no
train.
One died.
It just wasn't, I wasn't like, oh, that's just fucked up. Nope. I went on about my fucking day.
I ain't got that kind of patience. I'm kind of petty when it comes to that kind of stuff.
It depends on where I had to go that day.
Yeah. Dude was homeless and clearly like you don't fuck with crazy.
Different.
So I took my sane ass to work, and I was just like, you do you.
Right.
I wasn't like.
Tiffany was like, this nigga bitch got a job though.
Hey, he might be happy where he at. I mean, in that situation, like I would just laugh at it just because at that point I'm like, yo, you ain't doing nothing. Like, seriously, you crazy.
And this is gonna be crazy. I told my sister this. I've actually never been called, to my knowledge, that word maliciously before.
Really?
Never in my life.
I've never either.
I've been called nigga like by every single boyfriend I have ever dated.
That's not true.
Every single one.
Johnny.
Every single one.
Which one hasn't? Since you obviously know the inventory, which one didn't?
Let's move on.
Clearly not him.
Right.
So you're right. Maybe if I was called.
No, I use the word Just cat. I use it as
First
a
of
tool.
all, I love that Johnny has like the whole live thing just set up on him. And did you add my thing to it?
Everybody's there. I gotta tag you post issue.
Okay.
Post issue.
Brittany, you have something to say?
Yeah.
I do. As far as policing it, I think that, you know, my perspective is the same in that you gotta have the energy to do that. Like, if you directing it at me, that's a different story. Clearly, on that side, I'm probably with Shemira on being like, I don't give a fuck how petty I am. If you directed it at me, malicious or not, I'm gonna check your ass. That's like, that's just the end. Of
No, if it's directed at you, it is malicious.
Well, but I'm saying like, there's been times where I had like you
With
guys
malice
say like
intent.
friends that are, you know, not of color. You know, we're just gonna say it that way.
Yeah.
That I've used it or like tested at it, and it's like, no, you don't get to say that to me.
So weird.
Just because you know I am, and you think that's the language I speak. Like,
But
no.
are you cool with friends that are people of color, just not black, using it?
I think when it comes to that, it's again like you say, the intent of it. Like if same word with bitch. Like if you coming at me foul with it, that's a different story. If you coming at me like, you know, in casual conversation and you are of what I feel like is a standard to be saying it, then
To further your point, that's
like,
what I'm
I
saying in
approach it a little
intent.
differently.
Right.
Intent, you can say, just like I said, he said a triple negative. If somebody black says you a bitch ass nigga, like, you still gonna feel some type of way of that about that.
You
like
will,
if they black
because
or not.
it's
because that's
emotionally charged.
exactly. Because
But
they're saying it with
you're
malice
focused on the
intent.
bitch part, not the nigga part.
Exactly.
No, I'm focused on
Oh,
Right.
okay.
No,
I feel like
I'm focused on both. No matter,
I'm
no matter
just
who-
saying
I
that's
mean,
a
the
triple
whole
negative.
motive
Once
behind
your
it.
negatives
That whole-
get the triple,
that whole
we gotta
piece
scrap
is a
at
problem.
that.
If it's a brown person, you might have that.
That's a whole
that
problem.
second thought, like, okay, you trying to be like racist with the shit too. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
if it's like, I don't know, cause I got a lot of Hispanic homies, and it was weird for me at first, but then I was like, okay, nah, y'all, it's the same. You know what I mean? Like, we the same.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't.
They worse
dissect
than
it
us
down
right now.
to that.
Yeah.
I think it's like you guys say. It's about the intention. It's about what, like, what's the oomph behind
Right.
you
What's
saying
the
that,
motive?
right?
Right.
But then, to go back kind of to what you guys were saying about like, you had mentioned something along the lines of if you know being okay if it was them saying it and they were like, I forget how you guys worded it, but and the way I received it was like it being like an appropriation type of thing. Like, how would you feel if a person of color, not black, you know, person of color, was dressed like you and then using it to you? Would you feel differently? Like, or a person not of color dressed or trying to be dressed like you and then still using it?
We
like,
see that every day.
Right.
we do see it every day, but that's what I'm saying. Like, does it make a difference? Like, you're saying, like, you don't want
Not
to
to
police
me.
it and stuff like that. But if
Well,
somebody was, if it's about just intent, okay, now let's take that out and let's just say, like, what are their appearances? Like, what is the nature of this person? Like, are they trying to
They're trying to be you.
else? Then that's another level of intent. And isn't it? It's not just about them coming about.
They're trying to be you.
Appropriation of our culture is because you think it's cool.
Right.
Like, white people make things trendy, but black people make things cool. So they want to be cool. So even then, it's not malicious. Is it ignorant? Is it silly? Yeah. And that may warrant a conversation. Am I going to get upset about it? No.
Yeah.
But we may have a conversation of like why you think it's cool and how this may be, how you're taking someone's culture and using it as like a trend or just because it's the thing to do.
So then I guess the next question then is,
So it's
how
not
many times do you have a conversation about you trying to be cool?
As
Before
many,
you, like,
Brittany.
it depends on the person. As many
All right.
times as you
No,
want.
that's a real question.
No,
Like, how
no.
many-
Okay.
as many
Johnny's
times
like,
as it
I'm here to
takes?
break this down right now.
Absolutely.
As many
No,
times
you
as it
know
takes?
this already, but
Right.
everything in the
keep having
world
the
we
discussion
control.
until-
We say everything in the world is cool.
For sure.
Whatever we say is cool at the end of the day.
Yep. The way
I know you know this, but
Pose,
for everybody that's
music
listening right now,
videos.
everything we say is cool is cool.
But I'm saying, how many times does it take for your non-person of color acquaintances to utilize that word, masquerade as whatever they're doing, before you slap the shit out of them?
If
How long does that take?
If it's the same person, then I can understand your frustration. But if it's like different people, then yeah, you're gonna probably have those conversations with different people.
Okay, I'm
but
gonna
if
say
somebody
if
that
it's
I know,
as the same person,
if it's
and
somebody I
somebody
know,
that you
let me just.
then you have a choice. Either you're gonna continue to deal with their dumb shit, or you're gonna X them out of your life.
Yeah,
As someone
that's
I
when you
know though,
evaluate your
like
friendship.
I allowed, just like what Antoine was saying, like I had allowed that behavior. I had to create the new boundary that's not okay. Like it took that, but they were just doing what I had always let them do. And now that I've told you there's a boundary there, now you have to respect it.
But if they don't respect it because you've allowed them to up until
slap the
that
shit out
point,
of them.
That's what exactly. Get these hands.
then you can slap the shit out of them, right? That's all I want to know.
Yeah.
Like,
She's
I want
like, I just need to
'Cause
know
that-
how
then
long it's
that's-
gonna take for me to
that's-
relax.
when am I allowed?
That's
No,
you
like,
intentionally
because-
disrespecting
Yeah.
them.
Because at that point, you know there's an issue.
You're purposely
Yeah.
being disrespected,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's all I want to
Absolutely.
know.
Monty had a point.
I don't know if this is generational, but there are times that, you know, if somebody is trying to hurl an insult or you nigga this or whatever, you know, sometimes I just laugh it off like, haha, that's supposed to offend me, fuck you, whatever. But so there are times where it just, you know, okay, that's the other person's problem. But when somebody calls me a bitch, it's on. I don't care if they joking, bitch, you did in the middle of laughing, I'm like, this shit is not funny anymore. I just, if I'm arguing with somebody and they call me a bitch, it takes it from 0 to 60. I don't know what it is about it.
It's a trigger word.
It's a trigger word for me. I don't know what makes it trigger. What put that in the chamber?
Me either.
But I cannot stand to be called a bitch.
Yeah.
I just can't.
Not my thing either.
I don't know what
not
my
my
trigger
thing.
words are, but I know mine's are definitely actions. Like if you respond a certain way, you stand a certain way towards me, I feel threatened. And where I'm from.
Or like when I go, what? Get out the hallway.
Exactly.
Get out
Like,
the hallway,
I'm a
Johnny.
react.
Yeah.
So it's
I
a
was
reaction.
gonna say I don't have a trigger word, but I do.
What
is it?
Stupid.
Yeah. Indeed.
Like, yeah.
We don't use that word in our household.
No.
My trigger word is bitch. Your trigger word is stupid.
Yeah.
I don't have any trigger
No,
words.
not even like calling
None?
somebody stupid, like just using the word.
Oh,
Yeah.
just the
Bitch,
word
please.
being.
Yeah, we don't use
Right?
that word.
I don't have any.
None?
Because you know what? Because I can see the person is really suffering and having a hard time. If you've got to get to that point where you have to use that, you know, to defend yourself, then I see it.
And you know what? I do have to say something else too. I have called a lot of people bitches.
But that for you, that word ain't never been good though.
No, but that was her like stab in the heart.
Yeah.
You know what it does to
So
you.
that yeah.
Right.
No,
Go
ahead.
No, I was just saying that, and you know, there are some times when it's comical, like smile, bitch. Of course, but
Do
even
all
if
the
I'm
time in the
singing that
world.
song, I hope ain't nobody calling me the bitch that they telling to smile.
Yeah. Let me say.
Now I know.
Let me say this. The only time you want more? The only time I say bitch, honestly, is in a Too Short song.
Oh.
That's it.
What's my favorite word?
Exactly. I'm from Oakland. I can't help it. Like I just can't help it. So that's pretty much my only use of it. I'm not as reactive to it as I used to be. Somebody caught a shoe once to the mouth. Like it really used to trigger me.
Wow.
It doesn't trigger me so much anymore. And even still, like I know the N word is such a regular thing. Like when I'm around you guys, like I know that's just your regular vocabulary. So it's just not a battle worth fighting. Like it's just not. But anybody outside of my circle and anybody that's not brown, like that, just don't do it.
It's
just
triggering.
don't.
It's a
You know
trigger.
what I noticed with my husband's circle? They shorten it. What's up, my nigga?
Yeah, I do that too.
It's different. What's up, my nigga? What's
I
up,
try to
bro?
replace it with bro.
Bro.
Yeah.
Bro.
Right.
I think that's just an LA thing.
Or homie.
Yeah,
It is.
It is.
Like I was having a
Bro,
conversation with
homie.
my uncle when I was in Philly recently, and he was just saying he don't want to be called bro by people he doesn't know, because he's just like, you wouldn't have my back if it was a real situation.
Because you're not
So-
my bro.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're not. That's
Right.
not our relationship. So
I would say the funny thing about me and Johnny using it is that I think in the house, you know, he uses it occasionally. Is that our daughters? No. Like it depends on it depends on what we're talking about. It depends on what we're talking about.
Like this.
But both our daughters have used it. And
nigga or bitch?
No, nigga.
Hey, hey, was Maya the first one to use it?
Yes.
It was Rihanna.
Right? Maya was like, nigga, you gonna get these hands?
No, hold on.
Maya is it.
Pause the story. Our oldest daughter, I'm not going to say her name. Our oldest daughter refers to white people as vanilla and black people as chocolate. So one night...
No.
Because of Johnny.
If your skin is darker, you're chocolate. If your skin is so
like,
light, so her,
like y'all can
Johnny's
see me,
vanilla.
I'm vanilla.
You're either chocolate or vanilla. That's it.
So she goes... Both of our children are light skinned, by the way. For people that don't know. Most of you should know. So... The oldest daughter tells the younger daughter that she's vanilla, and the youngest daughter just comes out of nowhere and says, "No, I'm black." And mind you, she doesn't speak clearly at all. This is the clearest thing I've ever heard her say.
No, I'm black. Yeah.
She said, "No, I'm black." I have no idea where she got it from. I was cooking and I stopped mid whatever I was doing and just turned around and shot.
She got it from her ancestors.
I was like, "This little Malcolm in here, little Angie Davis."
Right.
Oh man,
Shout out to Angie Davis.
Always the light skinned ones are the most militant.
Always. The exact same thing happened with my niece.
What?
The exact same thing happened with my niece.
Tell that story, little Fifi.
Because her mother, who is not black, and they were doing something, and she said she was brown. She said, "Oh no, I'm black."
Wow.
I was like, whoa.
So then that brings the other discussion. I wish we had some biracial people in here, because does that make you feel like you're denouncing one side versus the other, or as a parent? So that's,
well, white people came up with that.
Right.
White people wasn't even a thing.
No. They came up with the one.
No, really.
No, they came up with the one drop.
White
so
wasn't.
Since you had that one drop, it was just like you black.
Right. Yeah.
So they came up with that. So
They did. They introduced that.
White people wasn't
We didn't do that.
was
Right.
legit not even a thing until the 1600s.
I heard it said that there isn't a such thing as a mixed person, because we're all one race.
Like the human race.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say we're all mixed.
So why can we test DNA and we know who's a Negroid and who is, who's not, if we're one race? I'm just asking for a friend.
I'm saying the human race.
Races are also a Caucasian concept.
That's very true.
They weren't talking about races 3,000 years ago. You were just from here or you were from there.
Yeah.
It wasn't no race thing.
It was you were that religion or you were this one.
Or the caste system.
There was different.
Some division, though.
There is.
Always, yeah.
Well, it has to be, because they...
Oh, no, sorry. I want to go back to my point for Johnny. With our daughters using it. So, the thing about that is that our oldest daughter asked well, why can't I? So, she's too young to really get into the conversation. But we said we said there's a lot of history in our country with vanilla and chocolate people. And she was just like, well, I'm vanilla. So I said, yes. I go, but you're chocolate vanilla. And I was like, there's vanilla, and then there's chocolate vanilla. I go, you're chocolate vanilla. That was the simplest way I can explain it to her. And I said, with that word. And I was like, I know, you've heard me and Daddy say it. I was just like, and when you get older and you understand better, then you can make the choice of whether or not you want to use that word. But until then, until you can understand it, we don't want you using that word because you don't know what you're saying. And so she was just like, okay, so they know now not to use it. I mean, it was a learning experience for us, and sometimes we just are talking and not realizing that they're both retaining everything. So, but it was great. But it was great in that we were still able to have that conversation, and this is even before she turned 6 in a few days. This is this was like last year, so she was young. She's asking these questions, so. But now she knows, and we're not just saying, no, we don't want you to use that, but we're still going to use it. But just understanding that we understand the history of that word, you don't yet. And just like with profanity, we say, we're adults and we know what we're talking about. You don't yet. So only use the words that you're familiar with and that you know.
But what if they know, like, really how to use the word fuck and in the right scenario?
She does.
They have, and in that
She
case,
does.
we just said we
She
don't.
does raises some crazy
The younger one.
I was just
does.
curious.
We said we don't like you using that word. You know, we say to each other using the right context, but it's like we don't like you using that word. And we
So I have a whole story
we say,
for
you know,
that.
when you get older, if you want to use those words, fine. But as children right now, let's not use that.
Let's use
So
different
wait.
tools.
Oh, go ahead.
I got a whole story for that, using it in the right context really quick. The boy was in second grade. And we got a phone call, or I got a phone call from his principal, and I called his dad and was like, we got to go see the principal. Like, I'm not sure what's up. He had called back again because I didn't answer, and I got a voicemail. So he called back again, and he let me know that he was in the principal's office because this kid, his whole life, has been too honest. Some little girl had made him angry. So he wrote a note and said that she was mean and that she was a bitch. Right? So
knew how to
he
spell
used
it.
it.
He spelled
knew
it.
how to spell it, use it, everything.
Right.
He felt bad, so he gave it to the teacher. So then the teacher was like, well, what do I do with this? So she gave it to the principal, and the principal's like, well, what do we do? Like, he used it right. It didn't even make it to her. Like, he told on himself. Like, I don't even want to punish him at this point.
They probably knew the little girl was a bitch.
Probably. And again, we were just proud that he had
Is she
spelled
a
it right
bitch?
and used it in the right context. I'm like,
That's the real question.
Go
but,
you.
but is she though?
And turned it into the proper authorities.
yeah. I'm like, dang. But don't ever do a crime in front of him. Because he tell it.
Excuse me, Miss So-and-so. You know she a bitch, right?
Yeah, baby, we know, but don't say it.
But that's the thing. What's the restriction on that? Like, what
Every
is
parent's
what
different.
is the restriction on expressing yourself?
When I was raising my child, and she
She
had
looking real intently over there, too.
something real serious on her mind that she just, something's on your mind, let it off kind of scenario, I would give her curse-free cards.
Oh.
Wow.
So she would say, I got something to say, Mommy. I need a curse-free card. I was like, go for it.
I love it.
I
Get your shit up.
Wow.
I ran out of my curse-free cards a lot.
I love it.
Oh, yeah.
That's an awesome idea.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, why you always got the good little ninja tips?
I'm just saying, that's my road dog over there. We had
Man.
communication.
Man, that's awesome.
I do have a
Maya
question,
ain't
though.
waiting for a card. Maya's not waiting for
Yeah,
a
no,
card.
she ain't.
No, she's not.
That's a great idea, though. Like, for future kids, that'd
I
be a
love it.
great idea.
Oh, yeah.
I have a question. I have a two-part question. They're not related, but it's still
We'll
two-part.
take it.
Okay, so one is in regards to what the guy's actual quote was from the video
Yeah.
and his
Oh, yeah, let's get back to that.
explanation about why he feels like he's justified, or we're justified, whatever his point was. He did bring up the point that those other cultures don't use those other
Words.
racially, emotionally, historically charged terms towards each other.
He's wrong about that also.
I think he's wrong
Yeah.
about that, too.
100%
Yeah.
wrong.
Okay, so wrong or not, like,
You ever been in a room full of a whole bunch of Jewish people? They be cracking on each other's noses. They Jew froze, all kind of stuff.
yeah,
They money-
and I'm
they got
saying,
money
but
jokes
if
for
one
days.
of
They
us
got money
walked
jokes
into
for
the room and
days.
said it.
Oh, the whole room would stop. The record.
It would. So you're saying that that they would receive it the same as if they walked into the room and said
You have to
something
know your
same.
audience when you're that
Absolutely.
bold to have that type of
Absolutely.
a dialogue.
Would
Yeah.
it be the
Absolutely.
same thing if a man walked in on a group of women and was like, "What's that, bitches?"
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
110%.
Right.
And then on the other side of that,
Like, y'all some classy hoes.
I would actually receive that a little bit better. Right? I would actually receive that a little bit better.
Yeah, fucking right.
I'm a classy hoe.
Yeah, fucking
My
right.
Nah,
Hey,
I wouldn't.
hey,
I'd be like,
Hold
what?
up. These niggas lying.
I would. No, I'm saying. I'm not saying that I would take like I'd be cool with that, but I would definitely receive that better than the other one. Like honestly, I take that than the latter.
I still have one more thing.
Oh,
'cause
sorry.
Earlier, Tiffany had said that her racially charged or her emotionally charged term was stupid.
Mhm.
Mine, for the longest, having moved around and also growing up in my formative years in the South, where I quickly learned I was a nigga. Mine was that I was whitewashed for speaking properly.
Same.
So does that, somebody telling you you're whitewashed or you speak too like clearly or whatever, does that hit you the same way as somebody saying you're a nigga?
Let me tell you something. When this one right here was in the 3rd grade, somebody told her she was trying to act white and she was trying to talk white. And she said, I beg your pardon, but when did dialect have a race?
Right.
I did say that.
Oh shit.
3rd grade though, that's dope.
3rd grade.
I must have died and came back or something. But,
That's a
I'm
smart
just saying,
whitewash
like,
nigga.
just like how quickly we are to get like up in arms about a guy walking in calling us bitches if it's a group full of women, or if it was like any other, coming in and calling us niggas. Like, would you feel the same way as somebody saying something like that to you? Like, or is it like, in other words, like you guys are mentioning before, like they're just words.
We're going through all the double standards.
Yeah, no, I
No, I
really
like
want to
it.
know,
No, I like it.
because like that's another
Wait,
side of it.
you were
too.
called that by who though? By
A lot of people, like
no, by other
you know,
black
By
people.
black people.
by black people.
Oh, it's
Yeah, I was just
Actually, when
no,
I got-
especially black
Oh,
people.
wait,
It's
Always
like
black
that.
people.
It's yeah, no,
I still
people.
get that, and
Yeah.
my response is that 1, you ain't been nowhere. 2, it's just you're just ignorant,
Right.
And it's just like you talk white. It's just like, well, look where I grew up. If I grew up in the South, what would my voice sound like?
Right.
Would I have
I
a
go
twang?
if I
And I know
grew up if I
white
grew up
people
in
and black people
Britain,
that
like
talk the
what
same
would I
way.
sound like? So
Exactly.
I'm
Okay,
like,
wait. I got
that's
a
where I
question.
grew up. That's
I
how
got
we
a
all
question
sound.
specifically about that. With this YouTube generation and these new, So first we're going to take the coil
Hey guys.
up with the hair.
Girl.
Hey guys.
Yeah.
So welcome to my channel.
Hey guys.
Like, has any of that changed? Because I see some of them
Wait.
sometimes like,
Are we talking about black people just okay.
Okay, wait. Let me
That doesn't
change it
bother
up just a little bit, because
Wait, but I wanted to say something.
Okay, go ahead.
So I've been in both situations. I remember like being around you guys when I was younger, and like when I was around anybody from the valley, I was the hood cousin. If I was around anybody,
Still you.
If I'm around anybody in the hood, they're
Shout
like,
out to Oakland.
when I was around like people in Alameda, they would be like, you're so hood, and I'm like, but I just really am just
so
from
in other
somewhere.
words, what I was
And
gonna
then
get
with
at
black
is
people,
you be
some-
nigga washed.
But because
right?
I knew
for the longest time,
You
I
sound like
wasn't.
a nigga.
But for the longest time, like I wasn't allowed to say like ain't and shit.
Yeah.
So around like black people, I was told I sound white. Like I was never. It wasn't good enough to be in either boat.
Offensive as strongly as somebody calling you a nigga.
It happened when I was younger, so it was just
It's
a little
It's
confusing.
a little shaky on
Now
that.
when it
'Cause
happens,
I used to be mad. Like, yo, I'm whitewashed.
Yeah. and
now
that's
as
what
an
I'm
adult,
saying.
like when I was younger, it was different because it was just confusing because I just didn't understand. I was just talking the way I talked. Like I didn't understand that it was different.
It wasn't no confusion.
But now
I
that
knew
I'm
exactly what they
older,
was trying to
like,
say.
do I take offense to it? I'm just like Tiffany.
But
Like, where have you been?
but
Like,
you
black
were
people talk like
offended,
all.
But I'm saying you
Right.
were offended because you felt like your nigga card was revoked. Your black card was
Absolutely.
No,
revoked.
I didn't
But
feel
somebody
like-
saying
Trying to
some
snatch
shit
my
like
joint.
that.
I didn't feel
on
like
one
my
side,
black
you
card
wanna
was.
be a nigga, but you don't want to be a nigga, and on the other side,
No,
you
that's
wanna
what I'm
be-
saying. I didn't
be
feel like when I was
you don't wanna be
younger.
whitewashed. So like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is it?
But no,
Like,
that's what I'm saying. When I was
because
younger, it was just
it's
more
pick a side.
confusion. No,
Right.
but I don't feel that way. That's what I'm trying to
Okay.
explain. When I was, it's two levels for me. When I was younger, I was just confused because I just knew that I spoke the way I spoke. That was it.
let me
I just talk like this.
throw
I think
this
it's
in the
about-
mix.
So you were a well-spoken nigga.
I guess.
Let me
Somebody
throw this
said
in the
that,
mix.
would
But
you
now
take
that
offense?
Yes.
now that I'm older, no.
Right? I would.
Now that I'm older, I don't take offense by it. I question them. I'm like,
So
where
let
have you
me-
been? How
let
many
me,
black people have you been around?
let me
We all
ask you
look
this.
different. We talk different.
Exactly.
We're
But
going a different spin.
Mm-hmm.
In my professional life,
oh,
You're
And we about to
voice.
we about
Your
to
professional
decode this
voice.
right now. It's about to be Dion Cole right now.
I had
Shout out, sorry to
a
bother
gaggle
you.
of girls tell me that in the most disrespectful tone that they could muster that I was a chameleon. And they were really trying to say that basically I flipped or flopped depending upon my environment.
That I take offense
So, no, I'm going to tell you what I did. I said to all of them who kept calling me a chameleon, y'all say that like that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
When what it really is you're jealous that I can be in any environment and adapt to that environment.
Yeah.
Okay.
There
Yeah.
are times
Wait a minute.
I could be the only black girl in the room, but what they
100%.
really know is that's the flyest chick in the room.
Yeah.
They don't know that's the only
Okay,
black
now
girl.
all I'm
move.
saying is replace everything you said with nigga.
Exactly.
But hold on,
That's
though.
all I'm
But hold
saying,
on,
like-
though. You have to understand we're all chameleons.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
You got to think about it like this. You talk a certain way around your mama,
Yep.
right? That you do in church.
Yep.
Yeah.
That you do at work.
Yep.
Yes.
And that you do with your cousins.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
So
What's
they
the
were
problem?
saying it to me
is like
as
the-
though it was the most derogatory thing ever. And when it first started, probably because of the way that they came at me with that whole bully mentality.
Right.
But, you know, they didn't know I was from Oakland. And, you know, I don't really get bullied. So the way what I peeped was the way that they came at me with it.
Yeah.
They came at me like this was going to
That's
be
what my
a
issue is.
derogatory thing that was going to change my character. And the
Yeah.
truth of the matter is, I developed this chameleon, and it is a talent that I can be green,
Exactly.
blue, and yellow.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what my issue is.
So don't
like,
hate.
Don't approach me like that.
Don't
like it's a
hate.
bad thing that I can move from one
Right.
situation to another. Like everybody's like that. There's layers
I
to
move
people.
how I move.
Now,
Just
but-
like what you said.
But now let's say a very colorful person. Let's say this group of people were a very colorful group of people
Uh-huh.
came at you and was like saying it in what could sound like by their tone very negative, but came off intentionally as positive, at least to them.
Oh.
But you didn't receive it that way because in their tone
Oh,
it
no, no,
sounds
no, no,
like
no.
it's negative.
Because the truth of the matter is, I'm smarter than that. You're gonna say what you're gonna say. You're gonna deliver that message the way you want to deliver it.
Right.
But I am an observer. I already know your intent. I already know how you coming at me. You're lucky I'm sitting here. Is how I treated them, because I already know where you're coming from. So you can try and disguise it. You can hide it. But I already heard what I heard. I already know who you are. I'm already here knowing who you are. So my expectations are already at another level anyway.
Okay.
So you're going to come at me like that. And what it's really going to do is prove my point. That I already know who you are. And you are this,
Showed your
you
cards.
know,
Yeah.
sheltered, closed-minded type of person who really, if you really want to break it down, you're a hater.
Yeah.
Because there are situations that I can adapt to
Yeah.
that you can never see yourself.
Right.
Like my husband likes to joke that it's just some people that don't come north of Slauson. and they might hate that you talk about the Topanga Mall. But so you have to be
That's a
able to
good mall.
recognize that. Like for real. You have to be able to recognize that. You have to know where it's coming from. Sometimes you know it in an instant. You can feel it. And when it comes that way, you do not respond with the ignorance that was directed at you. Instead, you think about it. You may even go, thank you for that opinion, and walk away and be like, I ain't never fucking with her no more. Because they show you who they are.
Be
When a
your own
person
people.
takes the mask off and then comes back, you can't pretend that you didn't see who they were. You have to always, once somebody takes the mask off, you have to believe what you saw. You have to trust yourself that what you saw and what you felt from this person was real. You can't let somebody else come up to you and say, oh no, Becky's not really like that. Nah, I seen Becky. I know what type of person Becky is. I know how she roll. I might still have to work with her. I might still have to interact with her.
But I just put her in a whole nother category.
But
like
she's
we
in a
gonna
whole
keep
nother
it professional
category.
And that's it.
When she
You don't
asked
get
me
to
how
come
my
over.
weekend was, I'm going to
That's
say
none of your
good.
business. Yeah.
Keep it
That's it. That's all you need to know.
You know, and that's how you have to be aware enough that when, like, sometimes people come at you with something that's a disguised insult, and the truth of the matter is, if you come back at them like, you know, that's actually a compliment, and it's also very telling of your own shortcomings.
Right.
So now that I understand why you hate me, I might talk like that a little bit more in your presence.
I've had people say, you don't sound black. And I thought, well, I just blew that myth.
Right?
I am black.
Because I am.
Right?
I just think it's an environmental thing. You haven't been around a lot of people. That's it.
Yeah.
Because like there's people
That's true.
that may think you sound hood or unintelligent, but then you like they be like, oh, you did that? Like for real, you did. You know what I mean? They don't believe it, but it's like, oh, what you thought? Because I talk hood, that I'm not intelligent or smart.
Right. Yeah, that's what kills me. Like the way you speak.
My
That's your
dialect
level
has
of
nothing to do with
intelligence.
my intelligence.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like that has
not.
nothing
It
to
just
do with
means
anything.
those are the choice of slang words I use.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, one of my biggest joys in life is encountering a person who has underestimated my cousin Dewana. Because Dewana will be jokey and laughy and smile in your face. But you let Dewana cuss you out one time.
You're gonna hear fuck.
You're gonna know exactly who she is.
Again.
And you're gonna be like, damn, I didn't know she had it in her.
You gotta remember where she come from.
So I remember,
Oakland.
let me tell you something about being young though. I remember when there was a difference made between who I was and who I was perceived based on, observation and who she was. And it used to always make me laugh because people would automatically judge that I'm going to be the hood one. I'm going to be the one that's going to, be down for whatever. And at the end of the day, Dewana will kick your ass.
Yeah.
And she'll
That's the
cuss
one
you
you don't
out
wanna
while
make
she
mad,
hit you.
'cause,
She'll be like, fuck you. Why you making me hit you and whip your ass? But that is who she is.
Yeah.
And when
Sometimes
people
I
don't
think
know
people
that,
underestimate
I
nice
remember
people.
I remember one
We were
time
just talking about that
somebody hearing you cuss somebody out for the first time and they were like shocked and surprised, and I was like, what kills me is me and Dewana are very much the same person.
Yeah.
She just doesn't
Y'all
put
grew
it
up
out
together.
there in the same way.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, she's still from West Oakland, just like I am.
But
So
she's a
don't get
single
it
mom,
twisted.
though.
Shut up.
I was a single mom too.
That's
And-
full circle.
I was a single
Yeah,
mom
it
too.
is. I know. I was just thinking that.
Single
So-
mothers are the strongest women in the world.
Oh
I
my
think
God.
so. I absolutely
Who?
agree.
On everything.
Single moms.
Oh.
Dang, what you thought he said?
She got
was like,
aggressive.
who? I was like,
I
dang,
know,
we
I
about
know.
to start a
On
whole
that,
nother
right?
discussion?
She was like, "What, stupid
It's
nigga,
because
bitch?"
it's because a lot of times being a single mom may not be your choice,
Yeah.
but the fact that you are a soldier and you survive it and you handle it, it makes it takes it to this whole other level.
They get
It really
a bus
does.
with groceries or a stroller,
Right.
everything.
All
Yeah,
of it
it's
at
like,
once.
In the
yeah,
rain,
Right.
whatever.
When Johnny
How
was,
you
Johnny
keep
was out
the
of town
lights
last
on?
weekend, and I was joking around somebody. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a single mom. This weekend, it was hard. It was hard. Our kids are very demanding. They are very high maintenance. And I don't think either one of us wants to do this by ourselves.
And you
Real
shouldn't.
talk.
Yeah.
Right.
And you
Your
should.
only response,
Yeah, I don't
Real talk.
I don't want to do it by myself. It's just
Right.
where I'm at
Thank you.
in life.
Exactly.
Like,
There were a couple times where I had contemplated some compromises because I really didn't want to do that shit by
Yeah.
myself.
110%.
I
and
got
then
it back
thi-
together.
And then I think
But
about
I'm
it and I'm
just
like,
saying.
no.
I got it back together. It's all good.
So bringing it back to that, that's the one question I do want to kind of end with, being children of single moms or having kids that are older and they're single moms. What's the relationship dynamic like? What was your relationship like with your mom? You and Brittany, you and your mom. Like, what was that relationship like? I know, like Jai, you're like Jai's girlfriend. He likes to remind Jai of that all the time. Jai, that's not your girlfriend. But like you have two, and
does.
you have one of each.
Right.
So I'd be interested in hearing what the dynamics were,
I think
or
we're
how
just-
you feel like it was then, and
Who we starting with?
how it is now. We
Yeah.
could just go from here
Start
and work
from
our way
me?
around. Yeah.
Okay,
Make it short and
so
quick, though.
all right, short and quick.
No, we got.
With my
8 minutes.
mom,
Yeah. Right.
with my mom being the single mom, and with my brother, who is admittedly and confirmed the favorite. There
Wait,
was
which brother?
my oldest brother.
We're going with Justin here for sure. Jay,
He-
sorry, my bad.
He and my mom had a different type of relationship. I finally asked him what that was about, and he was like, "You were so fucking bad. It wasn't hard to be the good kid." So there was that. With my mom as a single mom, she couldn't control me, so she could only hope to contain me. And that was a lot by my own design, admittedly. I was not going to be put in a box. I was not going to be held down. I am a rebel who has causes, and I am more Malcolm than I am Martin.
Me too.
So is my child.
Yes.
When it comes to my single parent relationship,
Don't you doubt me. I see your
my
eyes.
my single parent relationship with my child is one of my proudest things. My daughter saved my life, because when I had decided to have her, I was on a very dark path, and she changed a lot of things for me. I joked and I laughed with her today that part of her role was, I had you, of course you're going to be my friend. So she was born to be my ride or die. And because of that, I dedicated myself to make sure that there are times in her life when I was the only one there for her, and I was supposed to be. And so my single mother, her influence, even to the things that she did not provide to me, has affected the way I became a single mother and decided to be my child's best friend.
Yeah.
It's true. Real talk.
Wow, how do we follow that up?
Right, man.
I know how. Can we just do a quick bounce back and then go back to you?
Yeah.
All right, so that. All right, cool. That'll actually work, because I plan on going last anyway, so that works.
Okay.
That'll work it out.
Okay.
So, not to like, put you out or nothing, but she couldn't have said it better. She taught me how to be a ride or die, basically. I mean, this one can attest to that. You can. And just as far as, I'm not a mother yet. I could never imagine what that would be like, except that I have seen a very extraordinary example. So I know that it would not be anything that I would not be able to do if that ever did become the circumstance for whatever reason. But as just the child that I can only speak on right now, there really is nothing that anybody could ever tell me that she couldn't do or provide for me. And because she did that, I just feel like mother or father of a child, and you're, as being the only sole provider for them, like, is not impossible. That's very clear. And at the same time, I am very lucky that she did choose to be somebody that was in my corner, because there are, as Tiffany mentioned before, a lot of people that don't have that experience. Like, you could be a single mother or father and just, the nicest way I could say it is not give a shit. But she didn't do that. She made sure that she did everything outside of, what people might think is a stigma, especially as a Black woman raising a child by herself. So for that, I'm very thankful.
Anton, and then we'll go to Johnny.
Oh, I promise, Johnny. You
No,
go
we
back
good.
down.
We good. We're good.
I just think that everything that, as being a single mother, everything that you do becomes a sacrifice, I believe, because at the end of the day, there's no one there to help you. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you don't like your job, you gotta go, because you like, damn, if I don't make the rent, we out. You know what I mean? I have to go. I have to do these things. It's always I have to do it type of thing. And for that to be the case, like, anything that's done is like it's a blessing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to be, not to put my mom out there, but like, going back to the credit situation, I know, like, most Black people know what, if your kid is your credit's messed up,
It's usually because.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, you gotta make sacrifices, all kind of shit that you have to do, because there's no one to help you, and that's like, it can't be repaid. You know what I mean? There's nothing you could do, but
That's true.
P.S. Lights On is my favorite song on your whole album. Speaking of that.
Yeah, he wrote a whole
song on single moms. So, yeah.
Wait, can we plug that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's called LA Made. It's on Apple Music, iTunes, Spotify, all that.
Title.
Gotta mention the black real life experiences.
I only have title.
LA Made by Creative La Biz.
Lights On is not only is that my favorite song,
features
but
by B-Mo in there too.
Yeah, and
she don't know publishing, but she
and the video is dope too. So just to throw that out
Just
there.
know you get your ass beat if you don't know them better.
All right, Johnny, what you got?
Everything Antoine said was perfectly in line. You guys have all met my mother.
Love me some her.
She definitely makes her own rules
about everything.
Right?
Everything.
And then she'd come to your house and make rules.
No wonder why I was like, come on, just let her stay for 2 more weeks. I'll be back in town. And he was like, she gotta go. She gotta go.
Yeah. Shout out to my family members that are watching this. Don't go snitching.
Nah, don't go. But man, we all love her for
yeah, Mommy has a close relationship with her. So
love her. Love her to death.
Yeah, she definitely makes her own rules. But as I mentioned earlier, my father passed away 20 years ago. So I was 12 at the time. Clearly, you can do the math. I was 12 at the time. So she definitely had to make a lot of sacrifices for me and my younger brother. But she's one of the strongest women you'll ever meet in your life. She got into a bad car accident when I believe I was 14 at the time. So she was disabled and she ended up retiring. She had worked for a great company making a great amount of money for them. Actually doing business with the Bin Laden family.
Wow.
Not that particular Bin Laden, but the family. So she made enough money to retire.
Got that A-Rap money.
Right?
Literally. But she always instilled in me and my brother that we can accomplish anything. I obviously took it to heart. Maybe he didn't the same way.
No shade.
No, I'm not throwing shade at all.
By becoming an asshole?
No. No, like I literally believe that. Like I could do anything.
Y'all just made that kind of awkward for him, man.
I did move 3,000 miles away from her at the same time, but yeah, she always instilled in us that we can accomplish and do anything. So that's something that has driven me, because Tiffany will attest to it. Like I literally have a new idea or plan about something all the time, and I'm just like, yeah, I can do it. And I've made strides to do it. Some things have failed. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. Some things have failed, or not necessarily failed, have not worked out the way I wanted them to. But you keep pushing,
right?
Yeah. You just got to keep pushing through it. But my mom has been a driving force for me. I think we have a better relationship now that I'm not that close to her, like physically, like living close by her, even though I didn't live with her my entire adult life. But it definitely helped drive me to get to this point and push forward. So thanks, Mom.
Exactly.
So, Miss Dwana, you got a nice little unique perspective, because you, even though you guys are siblings, you got to have your mom as a single mom for a little bit, and you are a single mom. So what's that relationship like with you and your mom and you and your kids?
My mom was my best friend, is my best friend. She was my matron of honor in all my weddings.
And on the next podcast,
why does her wedding history keep coming up?
Hey, how many times you been married though?
Enough.
That's the perfect answer.
Right?
1, 2, 3.
But I learned, how to just absolutely love your mom and have your mom love you, and she was just such a fun, cool mom, and I just determined I'm going to be exactly. So I think as a single mom to my kids, I am a cool, single mom. They say it. They tell their friends. Their friends want to come over. Their friends want to hang out every weekend with us. They have their phone numbers and my cell phone. I have their phone numbers. They call me. It is such a cute relationship. So because it's so fun, sometimes I have to, pump the brakes a little bit. And Jai one time, he's like, Mom, you yelled at me. And I sat him down. I said, I'm going to, right?
Right.
Mom first.
Yeah, Jai
right?
doesn't understand that
Then
concept.
your friend, right? But it was just so cute. I'm like, I love that you have the
Right.
relationship with me to sit down. Mom, you yelled at me, right?
Duh.
So I thought that was,
You always gonna be Jai bottom joint.
Shut up, Jai.
Always.
No. And I think it's because Jai is such a cuddle bug.
Yeah, he is.
Is he?
His girlfriend is gonna love him. Yes.
Is she?
Yes.
Johnny, shut
I'm
up.
asking
You didn't make no
questions.
commentary on
For
your
real.
love
Y'all all
fest. She
did.
have her love fest thing.
Talk
Like,
about
For
throwing
real.
shade at somebody.
let her speak her
So anyway, so I had a great mom who taught me how to be a great mom, and I'm determined to always be a great mom.
So you are in that same boat, raised by, I think for you, I'm a little envious because you got to have our single grandma help raise you too, plus being raised by your single mom and being a single mom. So throw that out there.
That's generational single she just said.
Yeah.
It's not though. It's I mean, I'm single on paper.
Yeah,
Right.
she in the same boat as you.
Right.
For
Right.
now.
It's her boo plus 7. We discovered
Right.
that. We
Right.
talked about that.
That's a high number.
That's Brady. That's the Brady
Johnny.
Bunch.
A lot of children.
Next podcast, y'all. 'Cause for real.
I'm telling you, we
My
trying to get
mom
her
got
by
7
coastal.
kids. My dad got 7 kids.
Wait, and then her bonus
And
dad.
then my stepdad got more kids. I have
Yeah.
like a million.
She can
Yeah.
handle it, is what she trying to tell
I tried to explain that to one of my exes, and
it's a
it was a
lot.
whole mess.
It's a
I
lot.
was like,
It's a lot.
this girl got like 30 siblings, like for real.
So that's why it makes me. I mean, it's so easy for me in my relationship because I'm just so used to that blended, big family. Like so.
Her mom is the reason why I got 2 uncles, even though she ain't in the same. She's only in one relationship.
I love it.
Facts. So yeah, grandma, my mom is crazy, but she the leader of 7 whole kids, and I'm the oldest. So I've been a mom since 1983,
Wow.
roughly.
Hey, he watching too.
Yeah, shout out to my brother. But yeah, I mean, a lot of wisdom, a lot of structure, and then with my kids, like, boy and girl.
One who tried to call the cops on her own cousins, but we ain't gonna discuss that. That's the next podcast.
Boy and girl, because I have a boy and a girl. My
She shouldn't
kids,
have told me that story.
not my 5 bonus. But yeah, I'm their friend. I'm their homie. I talk to them like I would talk to y'all. Communication, like, I mean, it's a lot, but it's a beautiful thing. Like, I feel like even though the single grandma, the single mom, like, I'm trying to teach them something different. I'm trying to show them healthy relationships. And, I mean, that's what we doing now. So, I mean, it's all good.
That's dope.
So I only have one perspective. I was fortunate enough to be raised by both of my parents. I got to see my mom with my like their relationship with my mom being a single mom to my sister, but we had a different relationship dynamic, which helped. It shaped me. So it helped in my single momness, but even though I'm technically a single mom now, I gotta say, I'm lucky enough that I'm not doing this alone.
Right.
Like that's how I feel about it.
The village.
Yeah,
The village.
I definitely have a village. I know we don't talk about exes and stuff, but I talked to one of them almost a year ago, and it was just a lot of things, but it was a thank you because for those years that you were there, you helped me shape him. Like I didn't do that part by myself. It's become me being a single mom now, and it's been interesting because I have the same relationship with Kai in the sense that I tell him all the time, "You saved my life." For that reason too, like there was times I didn't want to get out the bed. He was my reason to get out the bed. I wanted to go to the military, this is how you see my 180 change, because the military ain't the place for Black people. But I probably wouldn't have made it anyway.
Right.
There's a lot of people that I know that did not make it and that came out and try and pretend to be sane, but they ain't, because you can't go into that situation and come back and be yourself. There's just a lot of decisions that I would have made differently if he weren't there. So I definitely credit him for that. I also try and teach him, though, every time I get a chance, like, I may not be here for forever. I can die tomorrow. So my goal is to teach him to be independent. My goal is to work my ass off to make sure that I can build something to leave for him and break that generational curse, because we don't have nothing to leave down. Like, for me, the start was at least having life insurance. So to be able to have businesses and money that I can, pass to him and give him that head start, like, that's a huge thing for me. Our relationship, we're slowly starting to change. Like, it went from mom to manager to now I feel like I can be more of a friend a little bit and let up the reins of the mom, because I know I've given him enough that I can trust that he's going to handle it. And that was weird, but to see him make his own decisions and to make his own choices, it reaffirms to me that he'll be okay. He'll be able to figure it out. Like, I'm the weird mom that's like, we were talking about this, go to college as far away as possible. Like, get out of your comfort zone, go spread your wings, go fly, go do something else. Because I never want to be that person that limits him. I never want to be that person that our bond is so close that it's crippling. Like, I want it to be close. I want you to tell me everything. I want you to understand that I get that there's some things that you don't tell me, but we still have an open door policy. And thus far, it's been going pretty decently. I make fun of him. He just got an Instagram, by the way. Just so y'all know, 4 days ago, he just told me today.
Finally.
He just told me today. He was like, Mom, let me show you what I got.
He was on Snapchat.
You know what?
Yeah, he was on Snapchat. That's about it. But
before we get into the conclusion, I did want to say something very important. I would like to shout out G-Dub. Because even though my mom was a single parent, my dad was the best every other weekend dad a girl could have. And when I needed for me and mine, he always was right there with whatever was necessary.
Yeah.
So I just want to shout that out.
Yeah. And I just seen him too. That's why I give a huge kudos to my parents for being able to be there and pick up the pieces where I can't, because I know I can't cover everything. I bust my butt to do as much as I can, but knowing that I'm not, even though I'm technically a single mom, knowing that I'm not alone is so comforting. And that's always weird to me when people don't have family. I couldn't imagine what it would be like without having my family, cousins, sister, even though, our relationship is crazy. My parents, I just couldn't imagine not having that dynamic around. And I'm glad that I'm giving him kind of the same head start that I have with you guys. Like, even though I was my dad's only child, I grew up with them. I got to be with his family. I got to know you guys. They would send me down here, and now he's getting the same thing. Because I want him to understand that no matter where you are in the world, you're never alone. And he gave that feeling to me, and all I want to do is give that back. And the last thing I told him, and I think it's starting to come back to bite me in the ass now, because I remember watching one episode of I think it's Blue Bloods. Like, I don't watch TV, but they had talked about, at the end of their TV show, I guess, they have like a family dinner at the end of it. And their slogan for that family dinner was, I'll bust my ass for you because you didn't ask to be here. And I tell him that all the time. It was my choice to bring you into this world. I'm not going to give you everything, but I'm going to bust my ass to make sure that you don't need for anything because you didn't ask to be here. It was my choice to bring you here, so I'm going to help you out with everything that I can. I'm not just going to leave you on your own. So that, hearing that, I was like, I'm definitely going to adopt that, and I have. And again, I think that's starting to bite me in the ass because now he's like, man, this was incredible tonight.
Wait, did you say your single parent thing?
When
I
did she
mean,
have a
but
single parent?
she's
She's
on
not-
paper
right.
she's single, but
Right, yeah.
she ain't single in real life.
Yeah, she
And
grew up
we
single,
included
she's
her
not
because I
single
wanted
in
to
real life.
understand what it was like.
You're not
the
single.
child.
So how was your single parent household?
You're about to start some
No,
shit.
I didn't mean that you had a single parent. I meant because you say on paper you are a single parent.
She already
You know what,
talked
before-
about what
no, it was so
happened.
funny.
Clinton gonna be like, what the fuck?
I told Nick, I was just like what our topic was, and he was just like, so why are you here? And I was just like, well, I was like, my mom was single parent. He's like, yeah, Dewana had a single mom. You didn't.
Right?
Thank you,
Nick, thank you. That's real. Right?
That's real talk.
Yeah.
Right? And Poppy would be pissed if he heard you say that right now.
All I'm saying is I knew single Rosalie.
But you also
She was
have-
different.
Right? Very
You also
different.
got the same setup as Brittany. Like you don't have a bonus dad. You have your dad.
Only, right? Exactly.
Like,
Only
that's it.
one. Mhm.
That's
And
all.
I'm so
Oh,
fortunate that
and
he
shout out
was.
to the men that step up.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Unlike the person that we initially started this conversation on, i.e. a hoe, according to Antoine.
Yeah.
Shout out to
ho,
the men
ho.
that-
Don't forget that
a
part.
Yeah.
ho,
Right?
Ho, ho.
The
Right?
men that do step up and that do
A stupid
understand,
nigger
Yes.
bitch.
you
Yes.
know.
Yes. Thank you, Clinton Jones,
sounded
because that is
No.
the only man in my life that has showed me how.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And see,
How
that's
to
how
be
I see
loved
my
by a
dad. I'm
man.
like, I've had him my whole life, so I've never had daddy issues because I've always had my dad. But I've seen him
Show
be.
off.
Shut up.
Right?
Must be nice.
But I've seen him.
So what? You got 2 pair of pins.
coming from a non-statistic type household.
Exactly.
I'm definitely a statistic.
But I've seen him be a stepdad, and I've seen what when your family don't support that, how that can tear that relationship up.
Yeah.
So I've definitely seen that too. But yeah, shout out to I'm man, anybody who can come in and love somebody else's child as
Right?
their own.
As
Like,
a total
I-
own.
I just want to love on them.
Yes.
Like anyone that can do
Yes.
that,
Yes.
it's just amazing. More
Exactly.
please.
Exactly. Yeah.
More please.
Yeah, definitely shout out to Damon Davis then.
Yo, yo,
Yeah.
yo,
For
yo, 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 yo,
sure.
Because
yo.
Brittany,
Brittany
For
is a
sure.
lovely young woman.
Yeah,
she
is.
lovely
Yes,
is
she is. She
definitely
is
the
always-
adjective to use.
She has always spoke her mind.
I am the
Cried a
baddest
little bit as a
nigga
child,
bitch
but
you know.
It's stupid, nigga bitch.
he said
All-
the S word.
All the trigger
He
words.
said all. He said the S word.
Who
Oh, man.
also speaks very properly.
Mhm.
No problem with that.
Yeah.
So, you know,
No whitewash.
Yeah, right.
No,
so
no,
yeah,
chameleon
I'll
free,
never succumb
chameleon.
to that. I speak very, very eloquently.
Yeah.
Poor
But you know,
black
here's
girl.
the thing. Like just like
Poor
Anton
black
said,
girl,
like
that's all.
we know people that go to HBCUs, but they from the South, so they speak the way they're gonna speak. But that don't mean that they're less intelligent than anybody else. So whatever. But I definitely thank you guys for coming again. And being a part of a fun topic, all the crazy things that guy said, all the fun things that we've talked about, and the different double standards that we covered. I feel like every time we get together anyway, we talk like this, so might as well have some mics in front of us. And I definitely look forward to making this a regular thing. It seems like we're going to wind up doing this. Nick already asked me if I was coming every month, so it's like,
Yes, she is.
this might be the
Lock
new
us in.
normal.
Right? Right? Exactly.
I'll be looking forward to these therapies.
So thank everyone for listening, for
Yes.
showing up into Facebook, IG, any other social media. We definitely didn't drink as much as we did last time.
that's
I'm
right.
very proud of
Right.
us.
Less
We got-
controversy from me.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna have to fix that for next time.
My
But
one comment got me in a lot of trouble.
with who?
Just
And
in
what
general.
comment?
Oh yeah, well,
About-
yeah.
You know what I said.
Oh.
I still stand by it.
Listen, I know he stands by it, but that's gonna start a whole nother podcast. We gotta end this and talk about that
All right,
privately.
We go.
Shout out to the Rollout Show for letting
Yeah,
us use
I was
it.
definitely getting to that.
Rollout.
The rollout show for sure. And
Congratulations to Anton and BMO on
for
their
the
engagements.
engagement. Looking forward to that. Told
Right,
you just
we
be
are so
patient.
looking
Just be
forward to
patient.
Go stream Anton's album.
Yes.
LA made, creative la biz.
Yes.
Amen.
Marvel vs. Capcom is still
Any-
my favorite one.
Anybody else got anything they want to shout out?
Shout out 8 Way Studios.
Hey,
Oh,
wait.
yes. I forgot about that.
Totally forgot forgot about
grand
that. So
opening.
you wait before we want to before we end. Come on, give us a little bit of info about that.
Yeah, you got to plug.
Come on.
Address,
It's a
contact.
recording
Man.
studio is $35 an hour with the engineer. It's
35.
No, it's actually $60 with the runner. So you can come in. You can go to you can go to 8wavestudios.com and book a
8.
session.
That's the number 8.
Eight,
WAVE.
Yeah.
STUDIOS.
That's that corporate
Facts.
voice.
Right, chameleon.
I recognize it.
I can hear in your voice you trying to sell something.
Right? We definitely perfect for 2 a.m. right now. That was the
Y'all go
voice
ahead,
for 2 a.m.
log on to 8wavestudios.com.
Hey.
Book a session.
Book a session.
You got any
And buy
social
some
media?
beats.
Yeah, social media. You can follow me at Creative Lab Biz at CR8TVELABIZ. And in the stories, I got like people that I work with, so you can see all the credits and everything like that, the mixes and everything.
Awesome. So
Wow, y'all really doing it.
Holla.
right,
Proud of you
holla.
guys. I'm proud of both of you guys.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
While I got half of my business partnership here, yo, you want to shout out anything?
Shout out Legacy Community Homes.
Can you get into the mic with that? Hey.
Legacy Community
Yeah.
Homes.
Oh, she got it on the
legacy, legacy, right?
Right.
Yeah, you know, I got half of my business partnership here.
You know.
So yeah, shout out to Legacy Community Homes.
It's a quarter.
It's half. It's 4 of us.
Yeah.
You're funny.
She's only had a little bit to drink. I promise.
So they clearly need an accountant because they can't. Right?
No, Legacy Community Homes. We are a real estate investment business. We are half of us are from LA, half of us are from the Bay Area. We are really big on changing the dynamics. Gentrification is a huge issue from where we come from.
Problem.
Yeah,
where we come
huge
from.
issue, huge problem. Whatever word you want to use. So we're
Problem.
using real estate as a way to give back to our community, make sure that people can buy a home affordably, rent a home affordably, and then still be able to share in the profits, because there should definitely be room to do both. So follow us on Facebook and Instagram under Legacy Community Homes. Twitter is Legacy Co-Homes, because they don't let you put a lot of words. You can follow me on Shemira Not Shemyra or The Life of Shemira to follow my entrepreneur page. And I think that covers it all.
And we out.
And we out.
We out.
Yeah,
And
thanks
we
for having us.
out.
Yay.
Facts.